Okay, guys, Sam here, back with you on Wednesday, October 3rd. We're looking at crypto today. We polled the Twitter followers. We gave you a choice of 4, and next up we have Ripple to the dollar. So I've got it here. This is the 4-hour to Bitstamp. Now, I'm not working through a complete count here. I don't know that it really matters here. I think what we can do is make some observations here that we have a potential double bottom down here. We'd have to allow for a slight truncation in the 5th here. But I'm just working from what appear to be significant pivots. So if I look here, this is very much like Bitcoin where it did that double top here. Yep, we've got a tick through the 65, but ultimately we come down here, we get target, it bounces on it twice. But you've got it on multiple levels. So we've got this one here as well. We can see this kind of stacking up. So here between the 50 and the 618, so we've got a reasonable algo play here. So it's confirmed with a second here. So both of those lining up like that gives us at least something that we can lean into as a technical pivot. And we can get a 5-wave structure. So if I open this up coming down, we can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like the extension's in the 5th, but note here this double bottoming action here right at 2 algo targets. And then of course here's always the tell. It's not the reaction here, it's the reaction at target, right? So that's pretty good reaction, right? So we can consider that we have a reasonable candidate down here. Partly because of that, we can complete a count down here, certainly because of those 2 algo targets, but then this reaction is the first time we've got something that looks impulsive coming off of those longer term targets being realized, right? We had something similar here. We had this, what looked very impulsive, but ultimately now rolls over. So here's part of the good news is if we go dominant swing to dominant swing, we've broken through the 65. So right now we've got bullish algos working for us. So if I go from the 4-hour, let's try the 1 hour, see if I can get this. So if indeed we've got a good low here, well, this pivot is going to be significant. So I can, do you wonder where that went? Do you want to guess on that before I draw it up? So what do we do? Right to the golden zone. Okay, so good sign here. Now, is that a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It's not an easy count to draw out of that. So, kind of mixed signals here. So that could be A, B, C. So we can certainly get a 1 wave into that. So let's think about that. If this is our pivot down here, come here. Let's go to white here. If this is a good pivot down here, right, as I think it's reasonable we can make that case. We have A, B, C, then that's potentially a 2. Well, we'd have to have another 1, 2. So let's see if we might. So these 3, 4, and 5 just placeholders up here. So let's take that degree up a bit. Let's go to submenu. Okay, so if this is an ABC into a golden zone, well, it's an absolute textbook second wave, right? We've got the 3-wave corrective structure. We go right into the golden zone. Look, right, so always right, they run the stops at the 618, right? The 65 holds it. They dig it out of the hole. Well, okay, so let's consider that. So we have to consider the possibility that we have A, B with C, potentially we come back for a double bottom. We can't ignore this possibility because we can definitely get 5 into this. So it looks like you have possibly an AB with a diagonal into it. So we'd have ABC into our B. And then we got to check this coming back the other way. So if I take it from that low, right? So, B wave anywhere from the 50 to the 786. So the fact that we hold in that zone sets up a possible push down here, so we see our algo target down here in green right on top of the 786. So, right, so this is encouraging, but we can't discount what we're seeing here from the bearish side. So, right, so you look there and say, oh, well, it can't get there here, right? It's already passed in time. Well, we can certainly put a modifier on. Let's get this out, what I'm after here. So I would check. I check them all. So I'm going to go to shift as well and see what that looks like. Right, so that would put us more in the range of coming down here for a potential double bottom to hold the 618, so 50 being tested right now. So that's something we can't ignore that. So as bullish as you want to be, you can look at that and say 1, 2, oh, potentially now this, well, it certainly could be that we're just going into another 1, 2. So acknowledging that we have to have, at least as an alternate count, the possibility that whether it's here or here, that there's a reasonable case to be made for this just making an A wave, B wave going in, C is yet to come, so we get a much deeper correction of that structure. All right, well, that's the bearish alternate. Well, let's consider the bullish alternate. If indeed this is all over here and this ABC is complete, giving us our 2. Right, so if that ABC is in, we've got a good 2. Well, then possibly now this is just a 1, 2. Well, if that's a 1, 2, let's take this off. So the possibility here with that in, that's a 1. We'd have a 2 going in, 3, 4, and 5, all still yet to come, just placeholders. We'll push them up here. All right, we don't have anything to work with. Well, let's consider that. If that's another 2, just standard ops guide, right? Any potential 2, we do the same thing. So what have we done? Back-to-back golden zones. Right, so encouraging sign. So right where you look for it. So just like this, potentially a good 2 here. A little tougher to dig a clean. Let's see if I can go to a 15-minute and get a clean motive wave out of this. Well, this is where it gets a little trickier. Okay, so if I open that up, all right, how are we going to get this? How are we going to get this as a 1 wave? Well, that's where I struggle a little bit here, which is why I took you into the bearish count first. So you could make this case. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so we can't ignore a 5. You can't go it doesn't fit my longer count, so I'm not going to include it. Can't do that. So we look here and we go, well, okay, 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't overlap the 1, so I've got a potential motive wave off of this, what we had thought was our 2. Well, all right, let's think about it. If that's a completed, did I get that right? No, sorry. If that's a completed 1 wave. All right, well, we want to consider, well, if this is our pivot here, well, we haven't yet made 100%. So if this were actually playing as our 1 wave and this as our 2, well, it doesn't look as good here yet again for another 1, 2. All right, so you see the problem here. So let's see, is there something else is there another way to count this? Because the alternate is that all we've done is go A. Looks like we might have, that's got 5 coming down, A, B, C. We'd have to have a truncated C wave. So this looks potentially like we have A, B, C in here. So because of the 5 coming down here, that implies the A wave. So again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, that implies 3 being an ABC. So it's much tougher to try and build the case around this being our 2 because of what we've had happen since then. So even though we've got this, so if I grab this pull, so you have, well, so here's how I look at this. So I have a pattern I can't reconcile, even though I have an algo, a pull here that's showing activity here. So we can see that. So look here. It comes to the point of control, a couple ticks in front of the 50. We get a little push off of that, but it's not enough. Back down to the golden zone. They're pushing out of that. So how are we going to count this as a motive wave with this as our 1, wanting this as our 2? It's just not there, right? I suppose technically you make the case here we haven't violated this low, so maybe there's some sort of a diagonal going in. But even if, there's just no way to count it to make that work. So if I look here, so here from the 50, so we know this target has been realized. So the fact that this went into a 5, into an ABC for a 50, and we've hit target and seen a reaction, right? You can't use this again, right? That target has already been met, so we've got to use the all the way, so which gives us this. Again, right? So how are we going to count that? So maybe we can go ABC, but that means ABC, right? So put it in the larger context. You gotta consider this as the other ABC. So this one, we take that off. So all right, so there's just no easy way to get a count that works there, right? So let's go back to the 60-minute. So again, we can't ignore this. All right, this is significant here. So if this is ABC into that B, so it still allows for potentially a new trend to be underway. But we've got to acknowledge that if this 65 breaks this count, starts to get in trouble. If we were looking for some sort, let's see, how I suppose we could make a case that we had something more complex, so that we were doing A, B, C before. I can't get that motive way there. So you could have another A, B, C here before that went down here to some sort of a target like this. So there may be a case for a trade here off of this golden zone to push for this target. But I think really all that would set us up for is a larger ABC. So if I pull all this off, that would set us up for this. So we'd have potentially, now this is A, B, C. This is a better looking B. So now we go towards that target. So we get a hot box here right in the zone. Remember, a B wave here, anywhere from the 50 to the 786. So if we're going to be in this range, that's prime spot for a B. So if let's lower this down, we'll put it in blue, and we'll go submenu. Okay, so if that's A, B, C, and we're still putting in the B wave of the larger ABC relative to this one, well, that would set us up for this move down here. So now we'd have a pattern that we could get our arms around. So we'd have an impulsive one, more complexity in that correction, bringing us back down here to what, 36 cents? Again, it's possible that there's some way that this can go up here, but it's just less probable. As I will often remind you, what we want to trade the probable, not the possible. So again, digging through this on that smaller time frame, I can't get a motive wave out of this unless this is going to be some very sort of ugly diagonal, which seems very, very unlikely considering right now the shallowness of what this would have to be traded as 1, 2, 3, deep 4. We're going up for the 5. It really sets up for the third to be the shortest, so that's just full of problems. So for the Ripple bulls, about the only thing you can wrap your arms around here is that you've got a technical pivot down here as a potential B wave into a C. So you look at that and you think, okay, well, is there a trade there? Well, if you're buying a little retrace on this, you got an algo target up here. No reason to hold it below that pivot at the golden zone, so you could tee that up. Well, there's 5.8 to 1, and I'm not even quite getting to target. Right? So if we go to target, there's almost 6 to 1. Right, and we don't have a count that works, so you'd be trading the potential, the probable, I'll say it that way, the probable B into the C of a larger ABC, which would move the 2 over here, somewhere over here. We're going to end up with our larger degree 2, and this is just going to end up being A, B, C. So I would suggest that if you are looking at this thinking, oh, wow, man, I got to get into Ripple, I don't want to miss the move, I don't know that you've missed anything just yet, right? So until we break this dominant swing to high to low, until we break this 65, I don't think there's any need to rush into Ripple here, because this could go too many different ways. I do think this is a valid trade. There's very reasonable trade here. I mean, nothing wrong with that. So you're trading from, what are we sitting here at, 50 cents to 66 cents? I mean, there's again, right? Size is what's relative here, right? So there's a reasonable trade here, 6 to 1. Very low risk, because we can be very precise about where that trade wants to be out. All right, and now if it breaks it and if we come down, right? If this we get up to Golden's, or get up here to Vegas wave, or we hit the resistance on the way back and this rolls over again, well, we do have this last stand of support. Remember, from our low to our high. So this algos will try and defend here. There will be buying activity as it comes, if it comes back to the golden zone. There'll be buying activity that could set it up, so that B could still be down here. So there's the trade right now, looking for that push into the C. I think that still would set up another move down. I think all you'd be doing is that more complex correction. So I can't say that I love this. It's incomplete, right? So it's a bit of a roll of the dice here. I like this because of the low amount of risk, right? So you can take that trade and not sweat, right? If we take out the 65, well, we want to be out and let the thing resolve, and let's get another pivot to work with, so we know whether or not is this going to hold if it's tested again. do we get that hold, or are we going down here to ultimately get to this target that is put in by this 50 right here? If we're going to go down here, well, then the ABC completes down here, and then potentially now we have the start. Although if that were to be the case, you'd really want to get a good 5 wave coming out of this, right, as a potential 1 wave, and take that 2 looking for that trade. All right, so if this 65 breaks, next stop here is the dominant golden zone here, where we've held support previously. If that breaks, likely going to target. Wouldn't invalidate the 1-2, so you can still hang on to the idea that you've got a potential trend change on a larger degree as a potential 1-2. Right, get a motive wave out of that, first 3 wave back down. There's your next opportunity to buy it again, looking for that ultimately this big 3 that would be all relative to this first big 1. Right, so pushing all of this off. So trying to play off of that, just as valid here. I would wait, personally, I'd wait for a motive wave, and then that first retrace, that's the next big opportunity. This, roll the dice. Roll the dice. Right, not that that's not fun sometimes, and can be profitable sometimes. Right? That's up to the individual trader whether you like that enough. But I do think you can trade this with a tight stop. All right, guys, I'll wrap it there, and we'll be back. I'm trying to get one more today.